The elevator descends slowly. First floor, second, fifth, 10th. 15 floors beneath the surface of the earth, the movement stops. The doors open. And you are not standing in a dark basement or a cold cave. You are standing in a corridor with polished floors, artwork on the walls, and the faint smell of filtered air moving through the ducts above you. It is quiet, deeply quiet. The kind of quiet that only exists when tons of concrete and earth sit between you and the rest of the world. Where you are standing, there is no sun, no wind, no rain, no sound of a car passing, no vibration from a plane overhead, no neighbors, no notifications, no signal of any kind reaching you from the outside. Here, 15 floors down, inside walls of stainless steel and concrete more than 4 feet thick, there is only the soft hum of the ventilation system. And apartments, luxury apartments, priced at $500,000 each, with views of a projected sunset on a high-definition screen. During the Cold War, the United States buried nuclear warheads in places exactly like this. Intercontinental ballistic missile silos, engineered to withstand the impact of a nuclear blast, designed to resist explosions of up to 300 atmospheres of pressure. Built in the middle of nowhere, in Kansas, in Colorado, in Arizona, with Atlas missiles aimed at Soviet cities that most Americans would never see. Structures designed not to be found, not to be breached, and not to be destroyed by anything the human race knew at the time. That was the plan. And then, the Cold War ended. The missiles were deactivated, the soldiers went home, and the silos remained, buried, empty, forgotten for decades, until someone looked at a 15-story hole in the middle of Kansas and thought, this would make a remarkable home. Who are these people? What leads someone to buy a machine of mass destruction and turn it into a place to live? And what happens when you descend 15 floors beneath the surface and close the door behind you? Think about what it means to build something to survive the end of the world. Not as metaphor, literally. The Atlas F silos, constructed between 1959 and 1961, were engineered to survive a nuclear explosion less than a mile away. The walls are 4 feet thick of reinforced concrete. The inner steel shell floats inside the outer shell, suspended on massive springs designed to absorb shockwaves. It is a structure inside a structure, built to be violently shaken by the apocalypse, and remain standing. You do not build something like this. You forge it. The main opening is nearly 65 feet in diameter. The total depth, depending on the silo, reaches 170 feet below ground level, the equivalent of a 15-story building turned upside down and buried beneath the earth. The spiral staircases that circle the interior perimeter have more than 300 steps. The ventilation ducts, originally designed to filter radiation and atomic fallout, are nearly 3 feet in diameter. Every bolt, every weld, every component was specified to last for decades, without maintenance under conditions of nuclear war. The American government spent the equivalent of tens of millions of today's dollars on each one of these silos, and then sold them for less than $300,000 each. Converting a silo into a home is a project of staggering scale. The most well-known project, in Kansas, took nearly 6 years and cost more than $20 million. Every ton of equipment had to be lowered by cargo elevator or lifted with specialized cranes. Floors were added one by one, like building a skyscraper in reverse. Concrete was ground, painted, and refinished. The old ducts were converted into modern climate systems. And where a missile once sat, capable of destroying an entire city, there is now a pool, a gym, a cinema room, a hydroponic bay for growing fresh vegetables under LED lights, and apartments with more than 800 square feet each. But here's the question we have not yet asked. Why would someone want to live there? Not as an emergency shelter, as a home, as a deliberate choice. And to understand that, we need to go back to the beginning, to what these places were and what they felt like before they became what they are today. Imagine being one of the men who lived here. 1962. You are 23 years old. Your job is to descend every day into a steel tube buried in the middle of Kansas, sit in front of a control panel, and wait. Wait for an order you hope will never come. You and your partner, always in pairs, never alone, never unsupervised. Hold the key to a missile capable of killing more than 1 million people. The protocol requires both of you to turn your keys simultaneously, positioned far enough apart that no one can do it alone. You are here for 24-hour shifts. You sleep on a steel cot, you eat canned food, and you listen to the hum of the ventilation system, always the same hum. Now imagine being one of the current residents. You descend in the same elevator, renovated, silent, brushed steel. Your apartment has 2 bedrooms, an open kitchen, and high-definition screens that simulate windows with views of open fields, the ocean, snow-covered mountains. You wake up in the morning and the light in your windows gradually brightens, simulating sunrise. There is a fully equipped gym, a pool, a cinema, a hydroponic bay where tomatoes, lettuce, and herbs grow under LED lights. There is a doctor on site, a security team around the clock, and the main door, solid steel, capable of withstanding nuclear blasts, can be locked from the inside with a single command. What surprises people who research these silo communities is how ordinary daily life becomes. Residents have condo meetings. They debate house rules. They complain about noise, which is remarkable in a place where silence is absolute. They organize communal dinners. Some work remotely, using the fiber optic connection installed in the silo. There are children who grew up here, who made friends within these concrete walls, who do not know surface life as a permanent address. It is a community, small, expensive, eccentric, but a community. And here is the thing that nobody says out loud. Most buyers of these silos did not purchase a home. They purchased a policy, a plan B for when, in their calculation, the surface becomes uninhabitable. Whether by war, economic collapse, pandemic, or whatever shape human anxiety chooses to take next. The logic is simple and cold. If the world stays normal, you lived somewhere unusual. If the world collapses, you survived. The walls still hold, and the door still closes. The silos were deactivated for a straightforward reason. They became obsolete. The Atlas F missile, with its liquid fuel requiring nearly 15 minutes to load, was too slow for the nuclear race that kept accelerating. The Soviets had their own missiles, their own submarines, their own systems. The required response time dropped from hours to minutes, and the Atlas could not keep up. It was replaced by the Minuteman, faster, cheaper, more reliable. Between 1965 and 1968, all 52 Atlas F silos were shut down. The missiles were removed, the crews were reassigned, and the structures, these monumental works of military engineering, were simply abandoned, sold as surplus, purchased by farmers and curious buyers for almost nothing. Buying a silo today costs between $300,000 and $1 million, depending on the condition of the structure. Renovating, between $10 and $30 million. The most advanced project in Kansas sold units for between $500,000 and $3 million, depending on size. The waiting list for similar projects runs into the hundreds of names. Because demand exists, and it grows. Every global crisis, pandemic, international conflict, political instability, makes the lists longer. The people buying these silos are not fringe eccentrics. They are, for the most part, executives, doctors, engineers, families with resources. People who calculated risk and decided the price is worth the peace of knowing there is a way out. There is something deeply circular about all of this. The structures built by the nuclear fear of 60 years ago are being purchased by the fear of collapse today. The same concrete, the same shock-absorbing springs, the same steel door. Only now with Wi-Fi, a gym, and a hydroponic bay. The fear changed its name. The architecture did not. What buyers rarely articulate openly is that living in a silo for months or years is not just expensive and inconvenient, it is psychologically exhausting. Studies with submariners, with researchers at Antarctic stations, with spacecraft crews, show a consistent pattern. Prolonged confinement, without natural light, without variation in weather, without a visible horizon, produces severe effects. Growing irritability, difficulty concentrating, sleep disruption, interpersonal conflicts that erupt from almost nothing. The silos were designed for crews of 2 to 3 men on 24-hour rotations, not for families over indefinite months. The steel holds. The mind is a different story. There is something these silos reveal about us as a civilization. Every era has its monuments to fear. The medieval walls, the Second World War bunkers, the Cold War fallout shelters, and now, the luxury silos. What has changed is not the fear. The fear has always been there, taking different shapes. What has changed is how much we are willing to pay to manage it, to hold on to the sensation of control over the uncontrollable. The men who operated these silos in the 1960s knew that if those keys were ever turned, there would be nowhere to run. The silo itself would not save them. Nothing would. They lived with that knowledge every single day. And still they descended. Still they did their job. There was a quiet courage in that routine that is rarely acknowledged. Not the courage of the battlefield hero. The courage of sitting in front of a control panel and existing, fully aware of what waited on the other side of that door. The silos survived the Cold War, the Soviet collapse, and decades of abandonment. They survived because they were built to last. And now they survive in a way that no one predicted, as homes, as investments, as symbols of a fear that never left. It only changed form. 52 Atlas F silos were built across the United States. Most still exist. Some have been sold several times over. Some remain empty in the middle of nowhere, waiting for the next buyer, the next crisis, the next reason for someone to want to descend 15 floors and close the door. Would you live in a place like this? Not as an emergency, as a deliberate choice, as your home, the place where you would wake up every morning, where your children would grow up, where you would spend the next years of your life, 53 meters below the surface of the earth. Leave it in the comments. Because the answer you give says far more about who we are right now than anything buried beneath the Kansas plains.